Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go. It's Hunter here, and we are looking at a winter storm continuing to bring some snowfall to parts of New England over the next few hours, and that system will be departing, and then we'll open up the door for some Arctic air across the United States heading into late this week, and then another piece of energy of cold Arctic air coming down this weekend. Then we're going to look ahead to the long-range forecast. A lot of intrigue for the middle and latter half of December as the polar vortex is in the equation. Not only could that bring some cold air, but an active winter storm track across North America, and that includes our very own United States here. So we're going to keep an eye on the forecast for you here and break it all down for what you need to know. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is the best way to stay up to date on the latest weather information by subscribing. We cover United States, also parts of Canada and the tropics during tropical weather season. Turn on the post notification bell so you are notified for future videos. So let's get into it here. If you do enjoy it, make sure to get into the like button, thumbs up, share it, hype it. I definitely appreciate it. Leave a comment down below and what you think about the forecast. So let's look here at the snowfall to date. This goes all the way back to October 1st to December 1st, which was yesterday. And this is all the snowfall we piled up in that couple of month period. And it's been pretty impressive for the mountains to start out west really early on in October and November. Then we got the lake effect snow machine going earlier on in the month of November. And then most recently, a major winter storm dumping over a foot of snow in parts of Iowa, Illinois, some decent snows here in Indiana, especially northern Indiana, up here into Michigan, and then interior sections of New England away from the coast have seen some pretty decent snows, and some are ongoing right now with our most recent winter storm, including potentially some pretty heavy snow bands continuing this evening across coastal Maine, back here into New Hampshire, into Massachusetts. A little bit of a wintry mix near or just west of Boston here this evening as of the recording of this video. A lot of onshore flow here, so that means some warmer air from the Atlantic giving rainfall to areas like Providence, Hartford, maybe a little bit of a changeover for Hartford into Connecticut as we go into the evening hours on the backside. Boston should see some snow showers as well around midnight or thereafter on the backside of the storm, pulling in some cold air, and that will change the rain over to some snow. Otherwise, we're watching some lake effect snow up here, especially near Lake Superior as we go into overnight, and then some mountain snow out west that's definitely going to be piling up from Montana, Wyoming, into parts of Utah and Colorado. That will be something to watch heading through Wednesday, and Wednesday is going to be a big day for lake effect snow if you live there off of Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. Much of Michigan could see that if you're prone to seeing lake effect snow bands. And then over here into, say, the Buffalo, New York area could start to see some lake effect snow. Even Erie, Pennsylvania going into Thursday. Got a little bit of a rain system down here in the lower Mississippi Valley heading into Thursday morning. Might need some umbrellas for that if you live along coastal Texas, down toward New Orleans, Lake Charles, Mobile, those types of areas going into the day on Thursday. But here comes more northern stream energy going into the day on Thursday itself. So here's the snowfall that I foresee happening between now and Thursday morning on December 4th. Notice we got the mountain snow we talked about out west. Some of that could be piling up to over a foot there, especially for the Colorado Rockies. We have the remnants of our system coming through in the east here, bringing some more additional accumulation on top of what we've already seen into coastal Maine, New Hampshire here, parts of Vermont, even into parts of Massachusetts, and maybe some snow down in Connecticut as well. On the backside should be lighter accumulation, so not seeing much more snow with that. And then lake effect snow looks pretty big here, especially in around Michigan as we go through the middle of this week. Now, the big talk, the big story after that will be the cold air. We have a lot of cold air. The dam is breaking up here in Canada, and it has a one-way ticket to the United States going into Wednesday morning. Notice the front end of this cold air getting in to North Dakota, into northern Minnesota, up here toward Lake Superior, so northwoods of Wisconsin, western upper peninsula of Michigan going through the day on Wednesday, and then it really settles in Thursday morning. Could be one of the coldest mornings for the Midwest and the Great Lakes that we have seen so far this winter season. And then we have a secondary push of cold air behind that that's going to be coming down from Canada, kind of more of a glancing blow, not a direct hit, but a glancing blow across the upper Great Lakes of some colder air this weekend. This is for Saturday, December 6th and Sunday, December the 7th. We look at those low temperatures starting off tomorrow morning, sub-zero up here into parts of the northern plains. So get ready for that in North Dakota, northeastern Montana, and then widespread sub-zero lows Thursday morning. May even have some school delays up into the upper Midwest where those actual air temperatures are going to be 5 to 15 degrees below zero in a widespread area as far south as northern Missouri and central Illinois. Coldest will be hovering over Iowa and portions of Minnesota. And then Friday, again, some potentially record-breaking cold lows across parts of the Ohio Valley up into the New England region. And then we get that secondary push of some colder air, some sub-zero lows going into Sunday morning. So any church services that you are attending Sunday morning, probably going to have to bundle up for that as we go out to those church services. But tomorrow afternoon, the colder air starting to nose its way into the northern United States. We're going to be seeing those single-digit highs up there across North Dakota, parts of eastern South Dakota there, and Minnesota. Going into Thursday, these are record cold high temperatures in addition to those record cold lows that we start off with Thursday morning. It's going to be a really cold day here across the Midwest and into the Great Lakes where we're going to be into the teens for highs. And then Friday, we start to see a little bit of a moderating trend. And then here comes that secondary push, albeit a little bit weaker of a push of some colder air once we go into the weekend with more single-digit teens for highs there in the upper Midwest. And you can see that here, wherever you see the wind chill values of this kind of like teal blue color, that is below zero. And you can see that Wednesday morning getting into the United States. By Thursday morning, these wind chill values could be pushing 30 below zero there in Minnesota, parts of Iowa and Wisconsin. Again, this could prompt some school delays out there. Make sure to start your car with plenty of time before you go to work. It's going to be cold. Even coming home from work Thursday afternoon, it's going to be still below zero with our wind chills in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, indicated by this teal shaded color. Most of the dangerously cold air, though, will be up here into Quebec, where we're still going to be 30 below zero even Thursday afternoon. And then as we go into the weekend, here comes that secondary push. Saturday morning, watching up here near the international border. And then going into Sunday morning, again, any church services you're attending, make sure to bundle up, especially in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Dakotas, because it's going to be pretty cold out there for the weekend. Now we look here at the pattern heading into the weekend. A lot of blue here means cold air, right? We're going to be seeing that cross-polar flow from Canada down into the northern and eastern United States. Got a bit of a ridge out here toward Cuba and southern Florida and a stronger ridge on the west coast. That'll keep us a little bit milder. But let's look here at the connections here, the teleconnections for next week. This is between Monday, December 8th through Friday, December the 12th. And you can see the connection here all the way up to the Arctic Circle of some colder air funneling down into northern Canada, western Canada, and all the way into the northern U.S. and then moving across the North Atlantic back to Europe here. So it has a pretty good ecosystem of where this cold air is coming from. It's coming from the Arctic, and you can see that is going to be cross-polar flow even going into week 2 of December. I feel if you are in southern Canada, parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast, we're going to be below normal, and in some cases, well below normal heading into next week. A little bit above normal out west, that's where the ridge will be placed, and that's where we can see a handful of degrees above normal, and some of that could nose its way into the plains going into late that week. Now, we look at the precipitation trends here, a little bit of some differences. We got the polar jet to the north, that's bringing the colder air. Also, the northwest flow clipper systems, where you get those nickel and dime type snows, 1 to 2 inches here, 2 to 4 inches there. That's the flow we're looking at in the north. And then our subtropical jet either weakening or retreating further south, feeding some moisture into Florida, but mainly just well down to the south toward the Yucatan. And you can see that those jet streams, there's the polar jet to the north and the subtropical jet retreating to the south here this weekend. And they're not really intertwined. Typically when they intertwine is when you get a bigger winter storm, much like we just saw. But when we don't have those two jet streams phasing, you don't have that cold air source coming together with the moisture with that subtropical jet to get a big nor'easter, if you will, or a big winter storm in the Midwest like we just saw. So a split flow means we're going to be seeing more clipper systems with that northwest flow heading into the middle of next week. Some of that flow could change and come from more of a southwest to northeast orientation as we go into late next week and into the following weekend, which would take us into the middle of December. First things first, though, we could see some decent snows with that on the European model. GFS model, again, we have some decent snow potential with those Clipper systems really every 48 to 72 hours in this flow as we go through next week. And here is the European model, the 7 days from the Monday to the following Saturday or so. So we're looking at between December 8th and December 12th, 13th, and this is the 7-day snowfall, and you can see a lot of the Pacific Northwest, the mountain areas out here, southern Canada, that's where the Clipper systems originate, and then up here into the Midwest, Great Lakes. GFS model, a very good agreement with this. There's no reason for me to disagree with that. And here's the national blend of models. It puts all the models together in one composite, and it also is showing that. So there's some pretty high confidence that a Clipper system track is expected with that northwesterly flow to the southeast as we go into the next week, which is week 2 of December. Again, between Monday, December 8th and Friday, December 12th, even maybe lingering into Saturday, December 13th. We look up here in the northern hemisphere, the polar vortex, that's why we're seeing the very cold air, is right near us here in the Hudson Bay in Canada here today. That's going to start to weaken and get a little bit off kilter as we go into the weekend here itself. We're going to see the polar vortex becoming primary over here in Asia. That's where the cold air will be as we go towards the second week of December. And then as we go into the third week of December, notice there's 2 lobes here. This could be a polar vortex split or at least an elongation of the polar vortex, bringing it back to North America. And there's that cold air source for more winter storms as we go into the second half of December. You can see that very well here on the extended ensemble guidance here. The control member is showing that here, the 500 millibar height anomalies. Think of the blue as some low pressure and the red as high pressure. You get the blocking up here in Europe, you get the blocking in the Bering Strait, and there's that primary polar lobe up here into Asia, and then we get that secondary lobe that will develop into that, third, fourth week of December going through Christmas and New Year's Eve, and you get the big blocking up here into the Bering Strait and the Aleutian Islands. That will send some cold air down into Canada and the northern United States. Let's look at this here a little bit closer to the surface, and you can see what I'm talking about. Week 3, there's that real cold air into western Canada, some of it inching into the northern United States. Now, I think this is a little overdone with the orange. I don't think it's going to be quite this warm because we quite honestly have a snowpack on the ground. But look at this as we go into week 3. This is getting into Christmas Day and New Year's Eve, even New Year's Day, and you can see this is some real bone-chilling air for the lower 48, and this one could be the most potent that we've seen so far this season as we go into late December, and this one could go all the way to the Gulf Coast. So we're going to be keeping tabs on the magnitude of the cold air. We don't quite know yet, but we have a lot of snow on the way as we see that colder air filtering in. That subtropical jet will start to come back northward. We'll see some phasing systems. I think some bigger snowstorms may be possible in the second half of December, especially to the north near the Great Lakes and New England. And then we have a lot of mountain snow out west as those systems come in across the west coast. Here's the control member, and you can see a lot of mountain snow being suggested here and a lot of lake effect snow with some bigger snowstorm potential from the Great Lakes into the New England region and then exiting across Quebec as we go through the holidays of Christmas and New Year's. So that's something to keep in mind. So thank you all for watching. If you like these detailed, reliable, accurate weather forecasts here, we cover the United States especially, but we also talk about all of North America, including Canada and the tropics during tropical weather season. So go and subscribe to the channel here. We'll keep you covered with the latest breakdowns of the weather forecast accurately. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and also hype it. I definitely appreciate that. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. You want to follow me on Facebook? We have some quick informative weather updates over there. The description for that, the link for that will be in the description down below the video, also pinned to the top of the comment section down below the video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's weather forecast update this evening, and have a wonderful, safe rest of your Tuesday out there.